اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
إن الذين يشترون بعهد الله وأيمانهم ثمنا قليلا أولئك لا خلاق لهم في الآخرة ولا يكلمهم الله ولا ينظر إليهم يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم. اللهم لا تجعلنا منهم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. إن الذين يشترون بعهد الله. No doubt those who sell the promise made to Allah. The promise of Allah implies the promise made to Allah. وَأَيْمَانِهِمْ, and their oaths. ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, for a small price. What they purchase, what they acquire in exchange is a very small gain. أُولَٰئِكَ لَا خَلَاقَ لَهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. Those are in fact the people, they have no portion whatsoever. There's not a single thing created of benefit that they can have for themselves in the afterlife. La khalaq, from khalq, khalaq. Smallest thing that can be created is khalaq. Not the least bit of creation will go to their advantage in the afterlife. وَلَا يُكَلِّمُهُمُ اللَّهِ, and Allah will not speak to them. وَلَا يَنظُرُ إِلَيْهِمْ, and He won't even look towards them. يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, on the day of resurrection. Not only will Allah not look to them, they will be raised blind. That's what we'll learn later. Allah is not looking at them, and they can't even look to Allah. They can't even look anywhere else. رَبِّ لِمَا حَشَرْتَنِي أَعْمَى وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا. Master, why did you raise me blind? I used to be able to see. They're going to be shocked at that too. So Allah won't even look towards them. يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, on the day of resurrection. In other words, angels will be assigned to talk to them. ذُوقُوا عَذَابَ الْحَرِيقِ, go taste the punishment of the flame. And they'll have to converse directly only with the angels. Allah will not address them. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, and they will have, these are the people that will have exclusively painful punishment. وَإِنَّ مِنْهُمْ لَفَرِيقًا, and even out of them, you'll find a group. There's no doubt about it, you'll find a group among them. There really is one. يَلْوُونَ أَلْسِنَتَهُمْ بِالْكِتَابِ, they twist their tongues when it comes to pronouncing the book. They twist their tongues. They use wordplay to manipulate the sacred text. يَلْوُونَ أَلْسِنَتَهُمْ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ لِتَحْسَبُوهُ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ. So you might think that it's from the book. Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned Bani Israel having the quality of playing with words several times. Already we've seen hitta and hinta. We've already seen ra'ina and ra'ina. We've already seen in the case of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, when they would come and say Assalamu alaikum, as opposed to saying Assalamu alaikum. Desis, watch out. Assalamu alaikum is not a good thing. Assalamu alaikum means may the curse be upon you. Assalamu alaikum, His peace be upon you. So please get rid of Assalamu alaikum, because I don't even know what language that is. That just sounds like I chew gum. Assalamu alaikum. That says, But they changed some syllables of their book to hide facts. I think I mentioned to you before how Bakka is mentioned in Tawrat, but they changed it to Sakka. Oh, it's not Makkah, it's Sakka. It's a desert somewhere. It's lost now. We can't find it. So, these are the kinds of alterations they made in their book. Nowadays, of course, it's done by translation. I will raise from among their brethren, it said. I will raise from their brethren, I will raise a prophet. New translation. I will raise from their brethren, meaning from the Israelites, a prophet. Their brethren included children of Ismail and children of Ishaq, both. But they added what? Their brethren from the Israelites. Their own edition. It's like if you compare, I went to some Bible website that have like 30 renditions of the translation, like 27 of them added from the Israelites. That's not even there. They just added it in. يَلْوُونَ أَلْسِنَتَهُمْ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَمَا هُوَ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ. And it's not from the book at all. It's not at all from the book. وَيَقُولُونَ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. And they say with full confidence, they'll say it is in fact from Allah especially. وَمَا هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. And it's not from Allah at all. وَيَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبِ. And they're making lies against Allah in doing so. وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ. In fact, they're the ones that know. مَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ. It is not becoming of any mortal being. That's how I like to translate bashar, mortal being. Bashar literally comes from the word bishar, as I mentioned before, which means skin. Human beings are called bashar because their skin shows, as opposed to other animals that are covered in fur. Right? So, مَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ, you know how in English we say flesh and blood? That's the creature of skin. That's what that is. A mortal being. It's not becoming of a mortal being أن يؤتيه الله, that Allah would give him الكتاب والحكم والنبوة, that Allah will give him the book. He will give him firmness and wisdom. Hukm means firmness also, stability and wisdom and prophethood. والنبوة ثم يقول للناس, then he would turn around and say to people, كونوا عبادا لي, become slaves, become worshippers to me, من دون الله, as opposed to Allah, besides Allah. وَلَكِنْ كُونُوا رَبَّانِيِّينَ. However, he would say, be godly people. You know Rabb, Allah, Rabbani, godly. People of the Lord, Rabbani. It's like the Ya Nisba added to Rabbani. Okay? Become godly people. بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تُعَلِّمُونَ الْكِتَابِ. On account of the fact that you're the people that teach the book. The fact that you teach the book should mean you should be the most godly of people. You should be the most cognizant that you are slaves of Allah. وَبِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَدْرُسُونَ. And on account of the studies you do. You're the ones that study the text. You're the ones that are closest to Allah's word because you spend time grappling with the text. You should be the closest to Allah yourselves. Who's there? That's so interesting. Huh? Oh. I don't know who that is. Okay, that's great. Okay, so, trespassers. Anyway, so the point I wanted to highlight here that's of importance to Muslims is Allah Azza wa Jal is reminding that one of the calls of a messenger is to remind people that teach and learn the book that they should become godly. You know what that implies? There's a danger for people who teach and learn the book to not be godly. So concerned with teaching everybody else, forget about yourself. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ. When it comes to knowledge, they can spout it out. They've memorized it, they've studied it, they know the language, they know the grammar, they know the vocabulary, they can do the speech, they can do the talk, the halaqah, you name it. But when it comes to one's own life, there's nothing there, it's hollow. On account of all of these studies, it should bring you closer than everybody else to Allah Azza wa Jal. وَلَا يَأْمُرَكُمْ. And He does not command you. A prophet it wouldn't be becoming. مَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ. That مَا كَانَ and li together, that phrasing, is not appropriate for. And so it's not appropriate, and it wouldn't be appropriate for Him to command. لَا يَأْمُرَكُمْ. يعني أَن لَا يَأْمُرَكُمْ. أن يتخذوا الملائكة أن تتخذوا الملائكة والنبيين أربابا. Nor would He command you to take angels or prophets as lords, plural of Rabb, Arbab. He wouldn't command you to do that. أَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْكُفْرِ. Does He command you then to disbelief? بَعْدَ إِذْ أَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. After the fact that you've become Muslims? You think a prophet would come and do that? In other words, Bani Israel were Muslims. They were the Muslims of that time. Would Isa alayhi salam come and teach them shirk? Doesn't make any sense. After the fact that you were Muslims? وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ. When Allah took the serious contract, mithaq, I'll remind you, mithaq means a contract in which both sides understand what they're getting into. They both know the fine print. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ. When Allah took that kind of contract from all of the prophets. لَمَا آتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ. I swear, la, ma, truly, whatever the case may be, whatever I send to you from any book or any wisdom, anytime revelation comes to you, and after that, ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ, a messenger comes afterwards, مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَكُمْ, confirming what you already have. In other words, you are all messengers, you've been given any kind of revelation, any kind of wisdom, you're prophets, and then another messenger comes along, in your own lifetime. You know, at that point, what is a messenger supposed to do? They say, Allah says, لَتَنْصُرُنَّهُ لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ. You will absolutely believe in Him, no doubt about it. You know, the command form is آمِنُوا بِهِ. The future tense is سَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. لَا تُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ أَثْقَلْ. Two noons at the end and a lam in the beginning. There is no doubt about it. You have no choice at all. You will believe in Him. in that messenger that comes. Who's being told this? All the prophets. That if a next messenger comes, you must believe in him. You know why that's important to mention here? These rabbis who refuse to believe in the Prophet ﷺ aren't messengers. Even messengers were told to believe. Even if, and some, like a Sha'arawi rahimahullah argued, if the Rasul, they didn't know when the Rasul is coming, alayhi salatu wasalam. They don't know if he's the last messenger, when the last messenger is. Maybe they're the one before the last messenger. They don't know. And maybe he'll come in their own lifetime. They don't know. And if he does come in their own lifetime, they will believe in him and they will follow him. This was something all prophets agreed to. All prophets had that covenant. Who are you to deny that? So لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَتَنْصُرُنَّهُ, and you will absolutely aid him, no doubt about it whatsoever. You will not only believe in him, you will become his assistants. You will take the secondary role of his nasirin, of his aides. That's what you will become, even if you're prophets yourselves. قَالَ أَأَقْرَرْتُمْ, Allah said, have you agreed? وَأَخَذْتُمْ عَلَى ذَلِكُمْ إِصْرِي, have you held on to all of you? Have you held on to that? That is to say, have you held on to my serious expectation, isri, my covenant, my contract? Very heavy agreement is isr. أَخَذْتُمْ عَلَى ذَلِكُمْ إِصْرِي قَالُوا أَقْرَرْنَا, they all said, we've come to agree. We've agreed. قَالَ فَاشْهَدُوا, and he said, be witness. وَأَنَا مَعَكُمْ مِنَ الشَّاهِدِينَ, and I am with you among the witnesses. فَمَنْ تَوَلَّى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ, then whoever would turn away after that. Now the tawalla is going back to the rabbis of Bani Israel who would turn away after knowing from the book. After hearing this, that even prophets agreed to believe in a prophet that would come after them, especially the final messenger. Even they had that, they were potentially ready. How can you be in denial? Whoever turns away even after realizing this, فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ, then those are in fact the ones that are corrupt. This ayah is not about the prophets. This ayah is about, this was only brought as an evidence for those who refuse to accept the prophets. أَفَغَيْرَ دِينِ اللَّهِ يَبْغُونَ, is it other than the religion of Allah, the way of executing judgments that Allah has given, the deen of Allah? Is it other than that they're in pursuit of? بَغَى يَبْغِي, to pursue something. وَلَهُ أَسْلَمَ, I told you Islam is a theme here, right? وَلَهُ أَسْلَمَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and to him alone, everyone in the skies and the earth is in absolute submission. طَوْعًا وَكَرْهًا, I told you ita'a, obedience, comes from taw'. Everyone submits to Allah in the skies and the earth, whether they like it, طَوْعًا وَكَرْهًا, whether they don't like it, willingly and unwillingly. وَإِلَيْهِ يُرْجَعُونَ, and they will be returned to him. The disbeliever might disobey Allah for a while, but then his lungs, his heart, his throat asks Allah for water, it obeys Allah. His heart obeys Allah's command with every beat. Every cell of his body it inhales and exhales by Allah's command. There's not a lymph he has that he doesn't control, that is not Allah's control. And eventually when he dies, he's in absolute control of Allah, not a thing he can do for himself. وَإِلَيْهِ يُرْجَعُونَ, and to him they will be returned. قُلْ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ, قُلْ means you say, meaning the messenger is commanded to say. A very similar ayah occurred in Surah Al There we found the word قُلُوا. قُلُوا, all of you say. A nation was being moved away from its status and a new nation was being put in its place, the Muslims. So قُلُوا was said. Here, the conversation is with the Christians. They don't have national pride. They're hung up on Isa alayhi salam as being the end all. You don't need any other messenger or prophet. The ones before, the ones after, doesn't even matter. Isa is enough for us. So now a messenger has to get their attention. So instead of قُلُوا, it's the messenger who's told, no, you talk to them and tell them, آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ, we've come to believe in Allah. وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا, and what was sent upon us. The Baqarah ayah says ilayna. The Ali Imran ayah says alayna. Ila implies a gift, a privilege. What was revealed to us, as opposed to saying it was sent as a gift to us, as opposed to a gift to someone else. But when you say ala, it implies wujub. It implies a responsibility, something you have to carry, live by. The problem of the Jewish problem, according to the Quran, was one of thinking that they're privileged. The Christian problem, when it came to revelation, was thinking that they are no longer mandated to live by it. Their belief in Isa alayhi salam absolves them of the injunctions, the halal and the haram of the book. So, وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا, what was sent down as a responsibility on us. وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَعِيلَ وَإِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ What was sent to Ibrahim, Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, and wal asbat. Asbat, their future lineages, their future children. وَمَا أُوتِيَ مُوسَى وَعِيسَى. And whatever was sent to Musa and Isa, وَالنَّبِيُّونَ, and the prophets. Now, here we find there's no second ma. In the ayah of Al-Baqarah we read, وَمَا أُوتِيَ مُوسَى وَعِيسَى وَمَا أُوتِيَ النَّبِيُّونَ. We found a second ma. Here we don't find a ma. If you read this ayah once again, وَمَا أُوتِيَ مُوسَى وَعِيسَى وَالنَّبِيُّونَ, it's one continuum. Like the word ma applies to Musa, ma utiya applies to Musa, then to Isa, then to all the prophets. If you look at the other case, you find وَمَا أُوتِيَ مُوسَى وَعِيسَى, the ma applies to Musa and Isa, and then there's a separate ma for وَمَا أُوتِيَ النَّبِيُّونَ. It's separated, right? That was a conversation with which nation again? Bani Israel. Bani Israel is being taught, look, the prophets that were sent to you particularly started with Musa and ended with Isa, and then separately other prophets also. The legacy of other prophets has been separated. But the beginning and ending of the Israeli exclusivity is from Musa all the way to Isa. So they were bunched together between two ma'as. Ma utiya Musa wa Isa, and then a ma again. Everybody else is separated. The issue with the Christians is they don't think of themselves as exclusive. They think of Isa alayhi salam as the end of it. But here it's put in a way that he's the end of the legacy of Musa alayhi salam, but he's part of a larger continuum, which is the continuum of the prophets. So it's put in the same continuum. Musa, Isa, wan nabiyun, it's like he's a link in a chain. He's just one link in a large chain. Wan nabiyuna min rabbihim. And the prophets that came from their master. What was given to the prophets from their master? لا نفرق بين أحد منهم. We make no distinction between anyone from among them. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. And we are exclusively in submission to him.